Welcome to the walkthrough of my productivity system and how I'm currently attempting to organize my life. In this video, I'm actually walking through the whole system with my good friend Suthan, and we're hoping to demonstrate how the theoretical components of the previous video, the elements of great goal setting, can be encapsulated and embodied by an effective system. An effective system is a flexible one. It's not one that we get too attached to or we over-rely on. What this means in practice is that if we miss a few days of a daily reflection, it's all good. If we skip a week or two of weekly planning, it's still all good. And when we come back to it, it still gives us the clarity, momentum, and alignment that we need. However, it doesn't bind us in and make us reliant to it and become a crutch. I've been reading a book called Time Surfing lately. I'll share a few quotes just to demonstrate the ideals that I'm wanting to work towards. So here's a section at the end of the book where it's talking about lists. From the perspective of this method, the function of a list is more to reassure you than it is to really remind you of something. If you happen to forget, it will still be there on your list. You can grant it this function. You can continue to use lists as an aid and play with them. If you're afraid you might forget something, write it down. However, make sure the list isn't out where you can see it all the time. In the morning, don't start your day by looking at the list. Start the day with a breather. Wait until later to look at the list. See what you've already done and cross it off. Then put the list away again. In this way, you can challenge yourself to navigate intuitively more and more without using any force. A section on having an overview. You can occasionally make an overview. You write down your different tasks along with their various components and connections. But once you've done this, you let it go again. As long as you can still see all the things you could possibly do, you'll get stressed. Your mind interprets this not as this is going to happen, but as this still has to happen. It sees a forceful current rather than a meandering stream. So yeah, I really love those quotes. I'm really into productivity and all these systems, but I'm quite conscious of not getting overly reliant on them, having them cause more pressure and tension, but rather using them just as tools, making plans while still being detached and being able to let go of them. So with that in mind, let's jump into it. So today I want to go through an overview of the system I'm currently using to manage my goals and enable all those principles that I talked about in the last video about setting strategies for goals and applying those principles in a practical way. I've been able to encapsulate the principles in a set of journals. I'll have an annual journal, quarterly journal, a monthly journal, a weekly journal, and a daily journal, as well as a place to store all the insights and outcomes and actions that are the outputs of the journaling sessions. It should make more sense as I go through it. I don't think the specific technologies I'm using are necessary. So I like to keep my journals in an app called Notion, but I think you could use Google Docs, you could use different note-taking apps, you could even use a physical journal. The way we fill out the journals can also be flexible. So sometimes I type my answers out. However, if I'm walking around, I might just talk into ChatGPT and get it to summarize my answers and paste it back in. This year's annual journal, I did it in my notebook. With the disadvantage of it being in pen and paper would be, it's harder to search up specific information in our journaling answers if we want to refer to it later. However, sometimes I really like writing it out and I feel a bit more intentional. So it's really up to the person and up to the time. I just want to make it clear that it's tech agnostic and it's a very flexible system. And mine isn't perfect and it's constantly evolving depending on my needs. Anyway, so let's jump into it. Here's the Notion page I have where I keep my notes, and here's my dashboard within Notion. And the journals I have pretty much sit on this left-hand side. One aspect to highlight is that all my journals are in one place, which makes it easy. I know where they live in the dashboard, as opposed to me having to search and dig out where that journal was when it comes journal time.
I think just seeing the links, like literally having a visual reminder that the annual feeds into the quarterly, which feeds into the weekly, monthly, and your daily reflections. You feel like you're on your own path and it feels more intentional.
This is an example of the annual plan I've been filling out, and it was heavily inspired by Ali Abdal. He runs these live sessions where he goes through the journal with you And then he goes through the questions on a PowerPoint, but he also provides templates where you can fill out the journal yourself. And the first couple of times I found it really cool because I was doing it live and I was actually filling it out. But then the next few times I was like, I prefer to just have the template and I'll do it myself rather than go along with a video. But the cool thing by doing it live with somebody is that you can add more accountability. Maybe you're more likely to complete it. One of the main benefits I get out of doing an annual plan is it helps me reflect a very big picture and answer questions such as, where do I want to be in 20 years, 30 years, or what do I envision as a good life or as a successful life? Because it's really talking about the long-term vision and setting a compass, giving clarity and focus about what we want to do with our time. So not even getting into the efficiency or the productivity of how to do things better or quicker or automate things, but it's actually like the what do you want to work on is a lot of the value I get out of these annual reflections. Oh, and I do notice that I put a reminder for myself at the top. The reason why I put an hourglass and 1 to 3 days is I just wanted to remind myself that such a journal, I shouldn't rush. It's cool if it actually takes a week, in my opinion, because they're really important things that we're going to be reflecting on. And it's sort of like, it sets direction for, I guess, the rest of the year and all the projects that follow. So it's like, you don't want to just smash this out in 5 minutes and be like, cool. Like
I'll just check off your daily to-do list.
Nah. Like I think the daily journals are the type of thing where you do want to just smash out because you have to do it every day. But if this happens once a year and it's very deep, as you'll see, then you want to take a lot of time for it. And I do remember this year I took a few days and I did a couple hours each day. I was just like walking around like Macquarie Uni and just like talking to ChatGPT, getting it to summarize my answers, then I'd paste it back in kind of thing. Then I'd do it until I was a bit tired, then I'd continue the next day. But then, the trick is carving out the space and making sure it gets done kind of thing, because I was doing it on the public holidays and stuff around Christmas and New Year's or something. And so that was a good time I found to do it.
It's like deep personal work in the Christmas break or the New Year's break. It feels more a purposeful way to use your time off.
Oh, yeah. Just looking at the questions, it will be like, what happened in 2024 or the last year? So it's take a look through the calendar and just note down the key moments from each month. So when I did this, it just allows you to reflect on the year and then just see what you've done. Just putting it on paper just gives you that perspective. And so it starts out with a reflection on the past 12 months. And then we got reflections and challenges. A reflection in the past about things that were difficult, that were challenging in the year, and takeaways. I guess the idea behind that is trying to extract the lessons from the previous 12 months to bring awareness to them and perhaps incorporate them, bring them to awareness.
It's like the take-home message that you want to carry with you from the year that's passed.
Yep. Yeah, then there's prompts about what are you most grateful for, prompting about the people, experience, opportunities that enrich your life, challenges overcome, unfulfilled aspirations, relationships and connections, how your relationships have evolved, whether new relationships that have significant impact for you, and looking forward. So I think up until there, it's mostly about looking into the past. The next set of prompts is trying to figure out where we want to go. And I guess part of the benefit of those retrospective prompts is it primes us to think about where we want to go after thinking about what's just happened in the last year.
What you want to change or how you want to pivot for the coming year.
What you want to change, what you want to keep kind of thing. And so there are different prompts for that, which I find pretty satisfying to do. What does your ideal Tuesday look like? What are you doing, who you're with, how you're spending your time? And I think the idea behind this one, I like that. I heard him say, is that Tuesday is just a regular day. And we have so many of them. So if you can figure out what your regular day ideally looks like, then you're having a really good time most of the time, as opposed to what kind of peak experience you want to experience on your annual trip, vacation. So you got, what would you like to do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do even if you knew you would fail?
Oh, that's tight.
Like that. Then there's stuff looking forward into the future and putting yourself in your perspective, like you're giving a talk and the audience is deeply moved and inspired, and it's 20 years in the future, and you're like, so what are you going to be talking about? These kind of prompts just bring out where you want to go.
Like that one.
And this takes it all the way to the end, because you're writing your own obituary, which is very powerful, I feel. So a deferred dream prompt. If you had all the money and the time in the world, then how would you use your talent to serve others? This one's really cool. It's hitting it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Who do you most admire? Who do you want to be? Why? What qualities do they possess that you wish to emulate?
I really like the obituary one.
Oh, yes.
I've been trying to do this more daily, but just being aware of your mortality is such a powerful perspective giver. I was thinking as you were giving all these prompts is that when you give yourself permission to take a full week, it also feels easier to just pick anyone that first pops out to you and just be led by your curiosity, as Justin Sun would say.
Yep. Yeah. This one is talked about in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People as well. I think he has a one where it's like, I can't remember exactly, but someone from your family and someone from work, I think, giving a speech at your funeral, and then what would they be saying?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. Anyway, so this is the type of thing in the yearly prompt. I think it's so cool. This was a new one I saw in his annual one this year, where they had a session where it's like you make a 3-year vision board, and I think it was divided by like different categories, like health, wealth, relationships, lifestyle. And this was now coming back down a bit from the end of the life and being like, where do I want to be in 3 years? Or how do I see things in 3 years? And the cool point he made about this is, I think he used to set yearly goals, but things change too much and it's hard to be very concrete about even yearly goals. So he cancelled it, and he's got 3-year vision board, which sounds a bit more abstract.
Yeah.
And then the step after this would be like 3-monthly goals, where you can be a bit more concrete. And then after 3 months, then reassess kind of thing.
Yeah. I just did one a few months ago.
Yeah.
The idea was an annual one, but it was very idealistic. As I was doing, I was like, yes, this isn't for a year. But I think I accidentally did a 3-year. I was very surprised how powerful it's been. Seeing the visual reminder every morning. Every day.
For sure. Like, for example, mine's like my
phone background. Oh, that's cool.
And it's on my laptop background too.
Oh, that's cool.
This is mine.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I don't know what that's about. I realized I used to really like teaching maths. It's not like I want to go back there, but I like the idea of making tutorials on YouTube and stuff like that. So I just found that cool. And then this teacher sounds like a funny guy. Like, he's doing some maths and he's got Merry Christmas coming out of it. So it's making it's fun and funny as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just found that cool. But I really used to love teaching maths. Not that I think I would like teaching maths now. I want to do that again, but the elements of it.
Yeah, the teaching, coaching element. Yeah, definitely see that for you.
And then this one, I don't know where I got it from, but like I think I saw some really nice linen places where they buy shirts in Nha Trang. And then I think there was a prompt from one of the sessions where it's like, what do you see yourself wearing to work?
Oh,
and then I thought that was cool to put, because that would be cool if I could wear this kind of stuff to work. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't see myself wearing a mad suit or anything like that.
Yeah.
But this is cool. And I really like that shop. And I was like, I want to go back there and buy some of them sometime. This is like a couple thing. This is like a warm and cozy home. Then I got one with friends, which I feel like I wish I would have seen more in the last year. So I got some social pictures. I got some chillaxing naturey with like with a panoramic view, which like something on the balcony where you can see that. It looks like Dhamma
Dude, that's what I was thinking.
I don't think it is, but it's just like dreamlike, just to be somewhere with a panoramic view.
Yeah.
Exercise. I have no idea where that is, but my point was like, I'd like to be able to work from anywhere more and more with time and not be tied to a single location. That just looks sick.
Yes. Yeah.
These are like traveling or hanging out with Dao. Some about health. I got one about sleep. That's about being healthy. I intentionally chose a few with groups of friends in them because I feel like I would like to see my friends more. And I've got some about exercise, which is cool. Running, a bit of tennis. The guy's sleeping. I like... One of the things I procrastinate on is on sleeping. And sometimes I don't get enough. Got a yoga dude. Some more. This implies creating stuff, which is useful to people. This is like teaching something of value. You got freedom. You're traveling all around the place. Relationships going well. You see your friends, you're healthy, nice. But it's not very concrete. I don't feel pressured by looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, oh crap, this is not done, or there's a deadline for that. Like, I don't get that vibe with this for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And
it's inspiring.
Yeah, it's just inspiring and clarifying. Say you can't whip that up in 5 minutes. I had to just go to Pinterest and copy images in, then rearrange them and all that kind of thing. Got a prompt here, put vision board on laptop, phone, Miro, and even print it out. This is zooming back in to the current year.
Yeah.
And just like doing a mad brainstorm. What do you want to learn? And it doesn't have to be realistic. I think this is just like put everything down, whatever you want to do. What do you want to see? What do you want to have? What do you want to be? Blah, blah, blah. I think the purpose of this is just like, not for everything you write down to be cool, but just to put it out and then maybe you'll see something that sticks or is inspiring kind of thing. But it's not like you're trying to do everything on this.
Yes.
Because then the thing after that was put a number next to each of them. And these are just like dreams. What timeline do you reckon these are realistic for these? And then you narrow it down. And here you're trying to be like, what do I want to do in the next 3 months? It's actually jumping from brainstorming everything, putting a time frame on them. And then, just narrow it down to like this one thing for health, wealth, relationships.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Maybe the effect is put everything down, sweet, it's out of my head, fine,
yes.
I got to say it, whatever.
Yeah.
Be a bit more realistic and label them. And then, there could be like 10 things I could do this year or in the next few months. But now this step is so important because we can't do everything. And if we try to do everything at once, we won't do it very well. And there's not enough time to do everything. So this is the prioritization step where we're like, what's actually important and what's going to get prioritized now? What are the projects? On his last thing, he narrowed it down to even just one for life and work. So it's whatever category works for people. Yeah. Cool. Now, at the end of this journal, we're interested in capturing the actual aspirations or quests or projects, a handful of them, not too many of them, that we're going to focus on for the next few months. And that I normally store somewhere else because when I want to recall or I need to double check, what are those things I'm working on? I don't actually want to go back to this whole journal because there's so much in it. I just want to go to that one place where my goals are stored. And for me at the moment, it's an app called Miro. Again, this could be anywhere. This could be in a document if you like. This could be on paper, but I like this because it's an infinite canvas app and it lets me zoom in and out and have everything in one view as opposed to many different documents. So here, for example, at the top of this is where I put the 3 things I'm trying to work on. And this is just the way I do it. But you can do it however you like. But that's one thing, that's 2, that's 3, right? So I'm trying to do some YouTube stuff. I'm trying to start the startup, and here it's just like start from sanity, which is an idea from Oliver Berkman, which just means working at a sustainable pace, focusing on relationships, focusing on health. And those are the goals. And remember how I talked in that first video, how having the goals isn't enough, but you want to be strategizing about it. So these are further prompts here where it's like, what are you actually trying to achieve and why is it important to you? There's like a mini journal in here as well. Why is it important? What are the 3 or 5 major moves to get me towards this goal? I feel like this is pretty cool because it is asking for the 3 or 5 major moves. So it implies a process of landing on what are the highest impact things I could do to move these goals forward. What boundaries, support structures, what's the 80-20? That's again asking us to really hone in on the things with high impact rather than just anything. And the habits and opportunities and people that may be involved to support us on these goals. And I'll add this maybe next time around. Maybe when I do my next 3 monthly goals, I'll clean up this table because again, you saw some inconsistencies there. It's asking why is it important twice kind of thing. But I'll add traits in the process, add skills, attributes, barriers kind of thing and extend it based on what works. It is flexible.
Always evolving.
Yeah. So the outputs go here and then the strategization happens here as well. What comes out of that will pretty much inform the monthly agendas or what I want to be working on each month. And I'll have April, May, June down here. And for me, I really like this unstructured approach and the bit of chaos. But for you, maybe you might prefer like a Word document or making it neater on paper or making it a bit more pretty.
So with the 3 to 5 major moves, I guess I was thinking you could also do 3 to 5 major like checkpoints along the way to reaching the goal. And then get your move, like reverse engineer your moves from those checkpoints.
Yes. Okay, makes sense.
If you think checkpoints first.
Makes sense. That's why if you were to make it, you might actually
reword
it and make it work for you. Which makes sense as well. The way I think of this is one major move could just be like an action that takes 10 minutes, like joining the gym kind of thing, or moving to Melbourne kind of thing. where it's like a one-off, but it's going to actually do things.
Yeah, or if you're an actor,
yeah.
if you want to be an actor, you move to LA.
I just want to zoom in on this a bit. It's potentially a bit outdated, but what I think the 80-20 for now, at least for my YouTube stuff, is 1 video a day. Yeah, that's one of the actions which is having the highest output in terms of me incrementally getting skills. 2 is a feedback habit, which if we've got time, I'll show you the journal for that. And then I've got making videos as part of your existing project stack. Finding areas where I'm already working on something and trying to make a video out of it. Like my Parley app I'm doing. If I can make a video while doing it, then I hit 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. Or if I'm catching up with you tonight and I haven't made the video yet, then I'll just ask, can we walk and talk?
Yeah.
And then it's making it more integrated and
achievable.
The yearly journal actually does a yearly reflection and it figures out the quarterly goals. So at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't do the quarterly journal, but say I would do this at the end of March because then a quarter has passed. Then it's just going to ask in what actually happened so far in the year. But it's only 3 months. And then what are the 1 to 3 significant milestones so far? Oh yeah, I just got some examples here too. It was like I got married, completed party course, became better at work, challenges. Yeah, just similar questions. And then come up with the quarterly quests, which sets the thing for the next couple months. What you're seeing here on the screen applies to a quarter.
Yeah.
So maybe for next quarter, I'll have another version of this to the side. I might copy and paste this and improve it and start it again here. But this basically applies for the quarter because those are the quarterly goals. And now these are 3 months in the quarter. And now and I'm trying to organize it underneath somehow. These are the 4 weeks within each month. And this is going to probably be much better and cleaner in a year's time because this is actually the first quarter when I put my goals on Miro like this. So my point was the yearly reflection covers a quarterly reflection. So you wouldn't do this at the beginning of the year. You do it every quarter to come up with new quarterly projects. Let's go to the weekly and the monthly reflections. The monthly reflection is pretty much the same as a weekly reflection, but it's got a few more extra questions. And the way I've set this up is I just click a button in Notion and it gives me the prompts. Let's just see what is actually inside one of these. It's going to ask you at the beginning of a review, what were your quarterly goals? And this is where I would refer back to Miro if I had forgotten or if I wanted more clarity and to see where everything is. But then most of the time I know. And then depending on the time and how I feel, it asks how you're going. I might go into it, but I might not. I might just say good or not that good, just because it's asking for every set of goals. And I think it's a bit excessive to answer all of them properly. So if I were to actually improve this, I would maybe take some of them out and only ask about 1 set of goals. But at the moment, I get around that by answering some in depth and just not really answering some depending on how I feel. But yeah, it asks you how your goals are going, what went well, what didn't go well. That's really cool. In what ways did you not act in line with your intentions this week? What have you learned to take forward into next week? Add it to the lessons. So I have another page called lessons where I just write a lesson there and what I took away. Wow. I've just got a list of them.
That's great. What
is the one thing you've learned this week? Consider adding it to lessons. It's a bit messy, but if I want to fix it, which I'll do now because all I would do is just remove it from the template. Bang, done. And then you add and remove questions as you go and depending on what's suitable for you. And I've got another button here, and if it's a monthly review, then I do that. And then it just asks me similar questions about the month just having passed. And by the end of it, I will have come up with monthly goals. Yeah. But then I don't click that button if it's just a weekly reflection. And then I just go and do the week, and the output is weekly goals. The output could be monthly goals if it's a monthly reflection. And if it's a weekly reflection, the output is some weekly focuses. Yeah.
So the output of every reflection is some set of goals for a given specified timeline. And then depending on the timeline, you just keep narrowing down the timeline until you hit daily.
I do weekly, and then if I do my daily journal, it might ask for the one thing, but it might not encapsulate everything. I'll show you now. I might look at what's on the agenda for the weekly, and then you'll see, and I'll organize it here too. There'll be the daily journal, but it could be my to-do list where I capture random stuff, and it could be my calendar, and then I just suss out what I want to do that day based on these things, because these have daily stuff on them. So say for example, I've done the monthly reflection, and then I come up with some goals. These are the best example, but it's cool. These are the sort of things I wanted to do that month for YouTube. These are the sort of things I want to do that month for the startup. And these are the sort of things I just wanted to keep in mind for that start from sanity rule. But to remember to take breaks, try to view things as if it's your last year of your life, exercise daily for more than an hour kind of thing. That's exciting. Make sure the hour sells in smoothly because she just came back. But then those are the sort of the monthly things, and improvement on this could be like what's the one thing for the month, for each of the projects. Anyway, then I got some random stuff on the side which aren't that important, but would have been cool to do. Like a demo video, do some coding for a mobile app, whatever. This year is the stuff I wanted to do in April, and I captured it.
I like the color coding too.
That's why, depending on the person, I'm happy for this to be one thing, but then someone else might need a heading or might need a physical boundary around it, or a list or whatever. But I've been color coding it and just using space, and I even got this background, so these stuff aren't that as important. And so that came out of the monthly review. What came out of the weekly reviews, these kind of things. Yeah, and sometimes just copy and paste things down. I'm like, okay, it's another week. That's still important. Drag it, kind of thing. Or I still need to exercise. Cool, that's still important. I don't mind repeating it, making it redundant. That's important.
I like this. I really like that you can make it much bigger and emphasize importance that way. Nice.
Look, I'm trying to put this in. It's just like, okay, I got to remember that.
Dude, I would need that too.
So yeah, you can make it different sizes. And then it's cool. You can have like stacks of stickies and stuff.
Cool.
It's a cool thing. Yeah. And I'm still working on the system because when things get done, I started dragging them out. So for this month, I'm experimenting with the done thing side, but it's continually improving. And I did have some more boundaries here. So just playing around with it, still effective. But then what I thought would be cool was, so here on the side, I was like, these are the 3 things I want to do for YouTube. The main thing is that goals video. For that, I wanted to meet them 2 or 3 times a week. And then for start from Sanity, then these are the things I wanted to do to prioritize. For that week, YouTube was goals part 2. Last year was be kind and go to the doctor, go to the consulate, and get the light. Cool. These are the things where I'm like, these are all the things I want to do that week. But if you had to ask me what is the main thing for each of those main projects I'm working on, if I had to choose one, what would they be? Then for YouTube, that's the main focus. Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to what's the thing I want to highlight as a focus. So it's not like it's necessarily the most important thing. It's just what I want to be the focus.
I like that. That seems more practical and less pressure.
Yeah. Like I'm never going to I want to focus on meditating 2 hours a day kind of thing because it just happens. Otherwise, it probably would be in this kind of bucket where it's the last year of your life or what really matters to you. Exercise, I should remind myself because it's not such a solid habit, but it's so important kind of thing. So it's there. Anyway, you see how the outputs to these journaling sessions come here, and you see how they're pretty aligned, right? Like, these are the things I want to do for the next few months, and they actually lead to these.
Yeah.
And then it just trickles down to these. So these relate to the top. So there's quite an alignment. It's not perfect. It's like random things can sneak in, which is fine. One thing I want to touch on is this bit at the top, and it's the idea of final cause. And it comes from Richie Norton's Anti-Time Management, where he talks about final cause goals, and it's something I've been thinking about lately, and I think it's pretty profound because an improvement would be to put this in the yearly review. I haven't updated it yet, so I will in the future, but the final cause goals he describes as the goals behind the goals. So it's like, what do you think you're going to do once you've achieved your goals or once you've finally got time kind of thing? And then for me, it's very simple. Very lucky that they're mostly free. I want to eat clean, I'll talk with friends, I'll read books, I want to go country walk with friends, I want freedom to sit courses, I want slack, which just means a leisurely day, hike, have a slow-paced day, which is pretty much thing, free to serve courses, make time for family and friends. And his idea is a lot of times we can actually do a lot of things now rather than waiting. And then the trap would be that the goals that we explicitly set or that we're hungry for, they get in the way of the things that we're actually doing the goals for. In his paradigm, it's instead of working towards your goals, you should work from your goals. I think it's very cool. It's something I want to center of mind, and I think it's actually very important, which is why I made it so big. Yes. And then I put it above everything.
This is the umbrella under which everything falls under.
I think so. This is the thing I want to not miss. I'll compromise on or say, I'll postpone this to later. So, yeah. And that ideal Tuesday thing, at some point I might put here and do a week there, but I haven't gotten around to it, so I just chuck it there and not making a fuss about it. Okay, we've got one thing left, which is the daily journal.
I like how the focus of this system is not about productivity or getting things done. It's more about maintaining your direction. It's just maintaining your direction. That kind of integrity.
Yep.
And then I think that keeping the focus on that rather than performance keeps it sustainable.
And there's also flexibility.
Yes.
Maybe if you forget to do something, then you can move it down and up. But eventually, I think it's cool to get visibility on what keeps getting moved and not being done.
Yeah.
Which is why I think...
Yeah, you could make a rule. If you move something down once, then you have to up it a size or something.
Yeah. And currently, I think I'm just leaving it there. You see how this didn't get done, so I just left it there. Yeah. Whereas before, I was leaving all of it because I didn't track like that. But then So I was meant to, I was meant to do some of this, which is not a big deal. I was meant to book an appointment, which I have already, but I actually only did that this week, kind of thing. So see, it's the same ticket.
Yeah.
So something like that. But then it's not very like hardcore productivity or performance. I like flexibility.
Yeah, the flexibility keeps it sustainable.
I do think though, if nothing gets done, then something needs to be done. But I like the flexibility.
Yeah.
I think it's very important. Anyway, one more journal. Let's go. So this is the one I had been doing every morning, but I'll talk about why in a moment, why this week I've been experimenting about not doing it. And it's related to the time surfing idea. But let's have a look. It's a morning reflection. So let's start a joyful day.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I think this is Ali Abdel's wording actually, joyful day. Yeah, it's nice. So here I've got a prompt where it's like open Marvin, open calendar. So on the daily, I've got like the journal, which is this. I've got to-do list, and I'm using Trello now. And I've got a calendar, because that's got things that I'm meant to be doing that day on it. And my first prompt would be to just open them up. So then I can refer to the calendar, I can refer to to-do list, and which I need to update this with because I don't really use Marvin anymore. And the journal. Again, to retrieve the quarterly goals, so that I can retrieve them if I feel like it, or I can just go there and have a look at them, just get sight on them, see how it's going, how are they going. I think recently I've just been going like good, bad, but then if there's anything concerning, you should probably reflect on it. If there's anything worth celebrating, that's also cool as well. But then, so sometimes I'm a bit more detailed, sometimes I'm not. Then it goes on your weekly goals, zoom down, how they're going. That's what I meant originally when I first came up with this. But then I think I've simplified it quite a bit, that I can confidently retrieve my quarterly quests and stuff. It's right for me, it's just like the YouTube, the startup, and just being sensible with exercise and health and family. So that would be retrieving it. So I place less emphasis on the retrieving aspect these days because I'm very confident that I can retrieve them on the quarterly at least. But then if you ask me about my weekly goals, that's where it got more advantageous to have these as weekly goals, because there's no way you're retrieving these. So you're only meant to retrieve a couple of things.
That's very good.
So that's harder to retrieve unless you clarify what your focus is. But so depending on the day, sometimes I just give a general vibe, because it's like, I might just go, it's a YouTube. I know it's going very well. It's cool, whatever. I'm not going to like fuss about it or go deep and reflect on it because I know it's going very well. Then I just keep going and just go next thing, kind of thing. This question I find very worthwhile asking myself. What am I doing for health and exercise today? Just because it's just so important. I went through a period where I was getting burnt out and just like working too much. So a lot of times that would be like, taking breaks or just drinking enough water kind of thing, or just like taking breaks before I'm tired. But then these days I normally just say exercising, or if I'm running or riding or whatever. But it's just worth highlighting and bringing to mind kind of thing I find. What is the one thing you want to focus on today, or that? And sometimes for me, this is like the most important thing, or it's a thing where I want to focus on because it's got a likelihood of not getting done. So then what's that one thing? Often it's got to do with making a YouTube video, but then it's recently often to do with working on a script for a YouTube video, because that's been harder. That's the habit I'm trying to get. Whereas I know now with my very easy one video a day habit, low pressure one, I'll end up just like recording something. So the video itself is going to get filmed, but sometimes I might forget to work on a script that I want to work on. So that's often been the one thing. And this answer to this question usually gets written down on my notebook, because otherwise I'm just going to close this after. In the past, I told myself to stick it on a sticky. For me, it's very messy, but I find I like writing it down. Otherwise, it's probably easy to forget.
That's a good point, actually. I think there's something about writing the daily thing down that makes it more... I'm going to try that. Because the thing that was preventing me from doing handwriting in a journal was like time and the fluency or the frictionlessness of the speed and getting just your thoughts out on the paper like as quick as possible, so you can just focus on thinking rather than keeping up with it and stopping and restarting the thinking process. But then I think just having that 1 to 3 things that you're doing, like the one main thing and then 2 other whatever, the one exercise and the one whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it's it's so much more manageable, and it feels, I don't know, it just feels a bit more tangible, feels a bit more, it's motivating to just write it down and just cross it. I
feel like I take it a bit more seriously writing it down, because there's so many things in the digital environment. There's text here, there's text here, everything's important. You can easily just close the window. I've got 10 other tabs open at the moment. Then I go to Chrome, I've got all these things, got everyone messaging me and stuff. But then here, this is one page, cool.
Yeah.
And then these are the things I want to do. But a good point as well about the time thing, because this journal needs to be a quick one. You can't take an hour on this every day, otherwise you're not doing it.
Yeah.
So you can't go in rabbit holes with these questions. How are they going? And you can't just go and reflect hardcore. It's a daily habit. It's just a check-in. Exactly. Anyone you need to contact today, I actually don't use this one very much often anymore, but sometimes it's useful because it's just a little reminder that's sometimes useful. Oh, I meant to contact this person. Then I'll write it down as well, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something really challenging at work and it just reminds me to reach out rather than trying to figure everything out by myself. This must have been pretty important in the past because I got write it down and I posted as well, but I haven't found myself using it much. So this used to be more important when I was struggling with energy and burning out with work. Like, is it scheduled? Did you schedule your walks? I never really scheduled naps, but I got it from that rest book. I was trying not to burn out. It's fine now. I pretty much ignore this. I could get rid of it, but it doesn't really bother me that it's there. This is like an artifact from when I used to burn out. Yeah, that's why this journal is pretty quick. I normally just don't do these questions. To be honest, I really need to do this often, but I find out since it's at the end, I don't really do them at all. I never do them. Yeah, so it's just there. I've probably done them once or twice. So it's good reminder.
That could be an advantage of cleaning it up more.
Exactly. That's right. It can be improved so much on one hand, and the imperfect system is already so effective that it doesn't need to be perfect before you start using it.
Yeah. And if you don't want to delete the question, you can just create a toggle list.
That's right. Create a
questions. Yeah.
So let's just say, bang, gone. Exactly. But yeah. Anyway, so this gets done usually in the morning, and then I have a look at my calendar, my to-do list goes on paper, and then I just start my day. To be honest, a lot of my day is like work stuff, and these systems, a lot of it are more for non-full-time work stuff. And a lot of these goals and things to stay on track on and checking on my goals other than my full-time work. That's why it's like the YouTube stuff, startup stuff and health and stuff like that. I tend to find that my work just gets automatically done because there's more accountability with my full-time job and I'm getting my tasks managed by the team and the manager and stuff like that. So I really value this kind of system to keep my personal goals on track because I'm the main person keeping myself accountable. And one of my sort of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it worries, but I'm trying to avoid the feeling of work swallowing up all my time and not being able to make progress on the things that I've identified as really important.
Yeah, it's like, how do I maintain my personal direction or my integrity to my interests and my passions? Yeah, and how I like this, because by giving you a reminder to stay in the direction of your own value, you can do that. Yeah,
I find it very useful to be able to see what I'm trying to focus on for the month. This is quite a frictionless way, I find, because I just need to go to this one page rather than be like, oh, I got to go to this weekly document in this place which lives here or there. I just go in and I can zoom in and out. I reckon doing it on paper would be very cool, depending on the person. Like, it's not only for tech savvy people or people who have to use these apps to manage it. Anyway, the only other thing I have to share today is I've recently been experimenting with some days not doing this at the beginning of the day. And the reason why was because I was reflecting on Paul Luhmann's advice in time surfing, where his advice was to use your intuition to guide you what to do. So I wanted to see how I felt just doing what I felt like in the morning and what I felt like working on, rather than trying to go through a process where it's a bit like I'm trying to get a sense of control and stability, see what needs to be done, then I choose it. But then when I do that, I still feel like I can see everything else that needs to be done, and it's a bit tense and it feels a bit like it has to get done. It's a bit forceful. So then the experiment I was trying to do was like, what if I just did what I felt like doing, and then at the end of the day, I started doing some of these and I'm like, did I do what I would have come up with anyway? I tried to do this at the end of the day and I was like, oh yeah, I did what I was going to do anyway. And it was much less stressful because I didn't have, I still got this to do. I was like, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
And when that's done, I try to experiment, what do I feel like doing now? That would be a nice place to land at for me, where it's like, it's a skill though, where it's like, I can trust myself enough to just do things and do the right things, rather than trying to grasp for control in the morning and be like, oh yeah, this was my goal, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. All right, so today I have to do these things. And then there's a bit of tenseness and forcing about it rather than the time surfing vibe. I'd like to develop the skill where I do things naturally and I can trust myself to do the right thing. And then this would be like a pure check-in. Oh yeah, cool, sweet. Missed it for a few days, okay, all good. And apart from the circumstances where it's extremely essential, where it's a very important appointment, or even he says in the book, when you're very busy, then you might need this. But then for the average day, I'd like to take this less seriously, to be honest, and have it have less weight and less influence on actually how productive I am, and be a bit more flowy. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think that moving it to the end of the day is a very good start, because I feel like if that's the last thing you go to bed with, one of the very last things you go to bed with, you still wake up with that direction. Or I find I do. And like it, so you still have a bit of carryover effect into the next day without it feeling forced or like a push. It's like you got a nudge from the previous day. At the end of the day for the translation into the next day. And I think also over time, you could do what you're saying with doing Miro by hand. I think that could come naturally, just like how when you do mind maps, they get smaller over time. It's just like when you write more, you become more concise and your ideas synthesize faster, or your journaling just becomes much more efficient.
So that's two ways to experiment with this. One, doing it at the end of the day for that day, and then one doing it at the end of the day for the next day, to take the weight off the morning.
I actually think doing it for today will help you tomorrow. Yeah, you could definitely do it both ways, but I think even the process of reflecting on the day is also helpful for tomorrow, because it clears your mind. It's like a mind dump before you go to bed, and you start the next day clean.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure we covered everything. It's quite a session. It's good. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up our session. It's 11:18 p.m. at night, so pretty much feeling it. Hopefully there's something useful that came out of this. I think I'm off. But yeah.
Yes, you know why? It's because we haven't created a title yet. So what's the title? The title is System to Maintain Direction in Your Year, Quarter, Day, Weekday.
Something about system to organize your life or something. I think that's pretty popular.
Should
we just call it?
For today.
Mad.
Definitely.